Good evening, dudes and dudettes. This is Morgan Straughan Comnick here, and I just want to thank everybody first and foremost for all the support these past few weeks for my new book, Monsters and Mortals, being released. Just the positivity and the comments, and just like I said, the support has been absolutely incredible. And I'm so happy it's out. You can buy it on Amazon in paperback and in Kindle form, and we're hoping to get more distributors soon. So yay, I'm really excited about that. I've been enjoying doing these readings. I'm not sure if you guys are, but I also appreciate the support with that from friends, family, new fans, and old fans. I've been getting some really great messages as well. So thank you so much for supporting my writing and for just supporting authors and literacy in general. So I went ahead and did Spirit Vision 1, which that made sense, both my short stories, and then of course promoting Hunter and Bringer duology. I didn't want to neglect my other two books in the Spirit Vision series, but I also didn't want to do spoilers. So I searched pretty hard and found a section or two in each of the, not spin-offs, sequel books for Spirit Vision. So the second book in the Spirit Vision series, which is my paranormal mystery UA series, is called New Beginnings. Right here. And I don't want to spoil the ending, but I will say that Starry, Umbra, and Marin are all present in some form and have more adventures. There's more spirits, there's more ghosts. Starry also still has to deal with high school life. That's just kind of how it is. So I found a fun scene in this that I think will kind of explain part of the cover. If you notice, Starry, the protagonist and the narrator, is holding a book. And the book is also on the back cover. Right there, looking all pretty. I even have a cosplay prop version that I keep my prints for sale in and display it on my book tables at cons and book signings. That was made by my friend Tabby, so kudos to you, Tabby. And I really love having a cosplay prop from my book series. I also have Starry's necklace as a prop that one of my students made me years ago. So yay, I'm so happy to have wonderful people. But anyway, I wanted to do the section where Starry and Umbra find this book, because it's on here twice and I have a prop of it, so it must be pretty important. So I'm going to read a little bit of chapter 11 to you guys. Now, the first Spirit Vision is completely in Starry's first-person voice. This one, the chapters are split. Starry is telling the story in her perspective, so first person, and then there's also a third person kind of narrator, like an all-knowing narrator. You'll find out a little bit more about them in the third book, but instead of just being like a general narrator, it's the one who watches from above. So this chapter 11 is in the voice of this, mysterious all-knowing narrator who is the one who watches from above. All right, so this is chapter 11 of the second book in the Spirit Vision series, New Beginnings, which you can, of course, get on Amazon and other distributors. I will put links in the description above or below. It fluctuates where they go, but they'll be there somewhere, I promise. Okay, so here we go. And the print's a little bit smaller in this one, so I'll probably be looking a little more down, but I'll try to smile and be expressionful, that's a word, for you. Starry grabbed Umbra's wrist with such eagerness and strength that he wondered what sort of vitamin she had been taking that morning. She was dragging him along like he was the blanket Linus carried from the Peanuts comic strips. They zoomed past the lunchroom doors, darting into the blinding white cafeteria light. The tables a blur of Minecraft-like blocks. Starry was making such a mighty wind that Umbra kept looking around frantically, expecting a tornado to swoop them up and take them to the land of Oz. Oh wait, that happened in Kansas. This is Missouri. Umbra corrected himself. Starry, slow down. You said the thing was superglued. It's not going anywhere. Umbra hollered over the sounds of their speeding feet. His stomach tossed slightly, like he might get sick, a feeling he never experienced before with his super abilities and spirit powers. I know, Umbra, but I got to find out what is in that book. It's been calling to me every time I'm near the library. It's driving me nuts. Well, nuttier. Starry's voice was breathless, but she was smiling brightly, a guiding star in the blur of colors and sounds their running was making. Umbra gave a snort, not surprised she admitted she was absurd. She's insane sometimes, but I suppose she's all mine in a way. An insane package of a pretty face and a tender heart. Starry let go of Umbra's wrist with a flourish. He was not expecting this. He almost did a full, clumsy 360-degree spin again, unusual for him, since he was programmed to have amazing coordination. She hopped down the narrow stairs, opening the library door carefully. She peeked her head inside, and after holding her breath and counting to 5, she declared it was clear and leaned against the door, propping it open. She looked at Umbra impatiently, waving her hand to signal him to come down the stairs. He sighed heavily and went to where she was, entering the library only a few paces behind her. The library was brightly lit, but there was no other soul there. Mrs. Cocoon's office spilled light under the closed door, but her blinds were closed, meaning that she was deep into her work. Starry laced her fingers through Umbra's, squeezing them with affection. Before Umbra could ask if she was okay, she pulled his hand up to her face and lightly grazed each knuckle, rubbing his hand after this. Her eyes were dazzling, her small smile full of fear and hope on her face. Umbra reddened, beyond surprise Starry would show affection like that at school. But he got her message, her feeling of the situation loud and clear. Whatever this was, Starry needed him, and she needed his help to retrieve it. He would do anything to get that book off the shelf now. With a new fire burning in his soul, his energy and excitement spiked. He faced Starry, his eyes as red-hot and ready as his drive. "Let's do this, Starry." She nodded, her smile widening. Hand in hand, Starry showed Umbra where the book was. Sure enough, he felt it, the aura. It was like a dust storm, circling the area of the ancient-looking red and black book, sparkles catching his eyes every now and then. It felt like a normal aura, but it was thick? Clouded? He was not sure if that meant it was protecting itself or if it had some sort of hidden secret inside it, woven in the pages for this possessed piece of literature. Neither option was going to be pleasant. Still, he felt Starry relax next to him. Her gaze locked onto the book as her eyes glassed over a little. She had the same sparkles in her eyes as the book. Umbra had never been able to see auras connecting, but he knew this was the start of the process. The book was meant for Starry. As the book started pulsing, Starry blinked fast, her glassy state disappearing, replaced by her slanting her head to the side to listen more closely. In a whisper as lovely as the song she was hearing, she told Umbra, "It's humming. It did that last time, too, before it started pulling me toward it." As the song, invisible to him, began, Umbra's arms began to throb, pain shooting through his body. He bit his lip hard, barely holding a groan. As he winced and his eyes watered fiercely, he looked down at the source, the burn under the black-wrapped bandage. The aura of the book was not evil, but it was screaming at Umbra, as if telling him no, each time being personified as a new stab of pain that made his bones rattle. He slapped his opposite hand on the bandage, squeezing the burn hard, trying to control the pulse he could now visibly see. He inhaled deeply, guzzling the air like fresh water after being lost in the desert for days. "It's strong now, the pull. Are you ready, Umbra?" Umbra turned to look at his partner. Her look of determination making her look strong and radiant like the warrior she was, but rarely showed to the world. He stomped his foot hard on the carpet, hoping to shove the pain his burn was causing him down into the depths of earth, maybe even to the pits of hell, if he got lucky. With that, the pain was just a bearable series of thuds. He gave her a handsome grin, his eyes ablaze once again because the relief of having that random pain attack gone calmed him. Mind, body, and soul. "What do you need me to do?" Starry went back to looking at her like her normal teenage self, searching for an answer to his question. "Well, last time, the bookshelf was swinging badly, and that was frightening. The whole A to C fiction section exploded, too." "Exploded? You didn't mention that." Starry ducked her head, scared of getting placed in a corner like a troublemaking kindergartner. "It was strange. The book didn't feel threatening at all. I was about to touch it. Its aura seemed to be wanting me to touch it, too. But then it exploded." Umbra gave her an inquiring look, cocking his head to mentally sew the clues together. "Did you read the spine of the book? The title?" Starry gulped, surfing through her memories. "I couldn't read the spine at the time. It was blurry. I was going to try again, but it was calling to me, making my mind blank, so I thought I would grab it first and then..." "Ah, Starry, you idiot!" You know what happens when you mess with spirit writing before you read it. Marin taught you that. Mortal world meeting with spirit world without a transition causes damage. That explains the explosion. How could you be so stupid? There was the old Umbra she could barely tolerate before they got along. Starry was not sure if that was reassuring or an insult. She really ducked down this time, shielding her body like one does during an earthquake drill. Umbra was huffing out puffs of smoke, his burning eyes more angry at her stupidity than a first to complete the mission like before. He sighed, holding his head, a migraine forming. He knew Starry was a goofy teenage human girl, but this was taking the metaphorical cake. Starry straightened herself, her eyes distant as she processed this. That would explain the explosion. So this time I need to read the writing on the book before touching it? Umbra grunted, his voice hard and full of cruel-sounding sarcasm. That would be wise. It's in Latin. I hope I can understand it. Umbra dropped his shoulders a tad, cooling himself down, his migraine sinking away. I think you can. I'm fairly sure the reason the spine was blurry was because there were mortals around you, and it was concealing itself. If it's calling to you or meant for you, the right words should come when you need them, just like they did with Callie. Starry swallowed the lump in her throat, the name triggering too many memories, too many emotions, too many guilt filled with what-ifs. She sent up a quick prayer that Callie was doing well. All right, if there is any... words. Is there any way that you can keep the bookshelf from falling on me? I think that the aura is too strong when I get too close. If I read the spine, the rest should work out. Her voice was more confident than she felt, a small dog barking with all its might at a dog 5 times its size, hiding their fear with their voice. Umbra looked at the ceiling, then back at her, formulating how her idea would work. I can try. I've never possessed objects before, but I don't think just using my strength by touching them would work, since they are so long and my arms aren't like Mr. Fantastic. He gave her a sly smirk, making her bite her tongue in order to not giggle. Maybe her nerd was rubbing off on him. He got serious again. I'm going in. Literally. Umbra levitated off the ground slightly, gracefully gliding forward to the bookshelves. He exhaled, and using all of his mental power and focus, he touched the side of the right bookshelf, trying to connect with it, fusing their energies to become one. He felt the bookshelf's memories, all the books it carried like its young, all the friends it had lost and gained, its observation of all the students who have come and gone in its time. It wished them well. The bookshelf had no idea where the book came from either, but it was never threatening. It just observed the world, as if waiting for a master that would never come. It had been pretty silent until Starry felt its aura. Ever since then, it began singing almost all day and night, yearning for Starry to return, banging its vibration against the bookshelf's metal, driving the other precious children nuts as the bookshelf sympathized with the strange book concerned. Good. I can connect with the bookshelf. I see what it sees, now to become transparent. Sinking into the floor and becoming invisible was a no-brainer because it was part of the earth, the final resting place for the living. It was natural. A man-made object would be tricky. Umbra focused on his hand, emptying his mind and focusing only on the images of plasma dripping into his blood, wind carrying his flesh away, and energy zapping him through anything, influencing and infusing him. After a few seconds, his hand became invisible and began to tingle, slowly slipping through the metal framework of the bookshelf, all sense of temperature vanishing. After a minute, his hand was halfway through and slid easily through the bookshelf like a hot knife through butter. He jumped another foot off the ground, floating effortlessly, turning to give Starry a thumbs up with the other hand. She smiled at him in return, and before she could think to say thank you, he had already gone inside the bookshelf, her sense of him gone as well. This concerned her deeply, but she did not want their efforts to go to waste. My turn, she voiced to herself. Starry closed her eyes, allowing her eyelashes to brush her delicate skin to a tingle. The humming began immediately calling her. It sounded like water flowing into a crystal bowl, wind chimes on a lightly breezy spring afternoon, leaves rustling under children's feet, the crackling of a fireplace in the dead of winter. It was so comforting to Starry, placing her in a cool, refreshing fog that was so white, so bright, that she could see it through her closed eyelids. And yet, she sensed darkness outside her yin barrier, a yang that was trying to grab her, to break down the doors of her private world of comforting melodies that the book was creating. But it was muted thanks to the water's flow, the breeze's chimes, the leaves' rustles, and the fire's sizzle. These elements were one with her, although she had never done anything for them. The darkness continued to knock, but the light fog was strong. Starry took a cleansing breath and opened her eyes slowly, expecting to see only cream-colored mist, but in front of her was a path to a brightly lit book that patiently hummed its song for Starry. Its glow swirled slowly around its spine, changing from sky blue to red to green, sparkles dazzling her eyes from time to time as it showed her its aura. The invisible rope that was once there before was there now, and once again Starry was pulled by strings, walking towards the book, answering its soothing voice and desperate call. She knew someone was knocking, trying to destroy her barriers, but it made no noise, no movements, no acknowledgments. All Starry thought about was releasing the book. As Starry was a foot from the book, she stopped and placed her hands to her side, making her mind calm and blank. The fog drifted upward, and she noticed multicolored clouds, and a rainbow of beauty was just above her and the book, creating a whirling bubble of wisp around them. Starry leaned forward to read the spine, and she chuckled, the sound somehow echoing all around her like they were in a cave. All the sounds that followed her mocked her laugh with their instruments of delight as the song got insanely loud, almost ear-piercing. But Starry's mind absorbed it with ease now, like a sponge does with water. She knew what to say. She knew what to do. She positioned her hand right in front of the books, her palms facing the spine, so she could feel the electricity from its aura and the warmth and the chill of its glowing hues. She took a deep breath, her eyes focusing on her hands and the book only. Nothing else in the world existed. Starry said the one word that would release it, a word that she knew so well. Salvio. She breathed, and with that, the book lifted up into the air, growing brighter than a star, and gently landed itself in Starry's hands, cooing it with pleasure. As Starry smiled down, stroking its ancient spine like one would to a sleeping infant, her clouded dimension evaporated, and the library returned to the way it was. The book was content in her hands and went silent, becoming cool and normal, its mission of finding its master over. Now it could rest as long as Starry had it. As Starry held the book up to try to read the title, Umbra popped out of the bookcase and jumped skillfully to the carpet, showing a look of accomplishment. He strode over to Starry, arms outstretched as wide as his grin. You did it! And the bookshelf thanks you and wishes you both happy reading. As he reached her, Starry nodded, still in a dreamy state, and leaned her head on his shoulder as Umbra patted her head. Thank you for doing that. Did you feel how reality changed? That was pretty random. Umbra shook his head, his curly bangs playfully tapping his forehead, but his eyes did not look shocked by this revelation. No, but since I became one with the bookshelf and focused most of my humanity on trying to listen to you, I didn't really see anything. You're smiling, though, so it must have not been too scary. Starry pondered if she should tell Umbra about the knocking of darkness and how the sounds of the elements and the fog protected her. Were they created by the book so she could get to it safely? Or were they sent to her so she could get the book? She decided to keep this to herself since there was no damage done. She held the book up above her head with pride, squeezing its sides affectionately. We got it, Umbra! It's so great! I had to use Salvio to release it. Oh, it must be fate. Umbra squinted his eyes, giving the book a detailed look over. Looks as old as dirt to me, he pretended to reposition glasses, looking bored and scholarly. Starry held the book to her chest and punched Umbra in the forearm, insulted. Oh, like you know everything! Wait, don't answer that. He grinned, licking his lips since she opened up a can of worms she didn't intend to. Of course Umbra knows everything, and even if he didn't, he could just look it up, she thought. It says Salvio on the spine, but the title on the cover is different. Oh, sorry, that's Umbra talking. It says Salvio on the spine, but the title on the cover is different. What does it say? Umbra asked, now fully curious, his honey-colored eyes filled with wonderment. Starry positioned the book in her hand so she could see the title face on. The Latin was super faded, making it near impossible to tell much other than it had a sharp, bold font. It's really faded, but I'm pretty sure the first word is spiritus, which is spirit. Starry traced the imprint of the title text with her pointer finger, her motions effortless and enchanting. As she stroked the first letter of the second word, light began to trickle into her skin, seeping into her bones and coursing through her mind. But the warmth was so fast, so comforting, that Starry continued her tracing without hardly giving it a thought, until she got to the fourth letter. Then in a dreamy state, she said the letters that were pulsing through her head in a monotone, the letters that were revealing themselves, becoming one with her. B, E, L, L, A, T. Wait. She blinked rapidly, slightly dizzy from breaking the spell she was not aware she was under. She traced them again, and then stared at Umbra, her eyes wide and mouth open slightly. Umbra, I think the second word is Bellator. Or in English, warrior. If so, then that means... Umbra hopped a step backwards, his eyes engulfing in starry sighs. He leaned forward, their heads touching as they stared at the book, as if it was about to do tricks. Umbra, in a loud, shrill voice that made his normal rich baritone sound cracked, exclaimed, Starry! Do you know what this means? I've only heard about it, but I didn't know it really existed. Starry, this is the Spirit Warrior book. Starry gasped, her hand moving back and forth between Umbra, her head moving back and forth between Umbra and the now claimed to be sacred book in her hands, her mouth open enough to fit a ping-pong ball in it. Saliva built in her throat, making it hard to speak, let alone think about all the meanings this could have. There's a book for Spirit Warriors? But if so, why didn't I get it last semester, when I first got my mission? And if the book has been here for at least 15 years... Wait. Oh my God. The book knew I would come here, be born here. The book was waiting for the next Spirit Warrior. And that's a little bit of New Beginnings, the second book in this My Spirit Vision series, which again is a paranormal mystery, romance, school life, nerd life, a little bit of everything. And it is UA. So if you're 12 to 13 and up, it should be good to go. Again, you can purchase this on the retailers. Sorry, it's late. In descriptions above or below, depending. I'll also put my website link if you want to learn more about me and other things I am working on. The paperback version is $12 typically, or $11.99. And the ebook version is $2.99 or $3 if you want to round up that way. So I hope you got to enjoy a little bit about learning about Starry and this book. That will be very important. If you're not familiar with the first book, The Spirit Warrior is Starry's title, job, and why she has her abilities, which isn't a spoiler because it's on the blurb of the very first book. So that explains that. So, dum-dum-dum, this book was waiting for her. Let's see what it brings. All right, thanks guys so much. I'll hopefully see you for another reading. Feel free to contact me anytime. I love hearing from you, especially thoughts about my books or just talking in general. And if you're interested in sending fan art, I've had some people ask me about that. I love fan art. Absolutely. So contact me and we can make stuff happen. All right. Have a good evening. Stay safe. Stay beautiful. Stay awesome. Stay fantastic. Just keep dancing. Just have fun. All right. You guys are wonderful. Take care. Bye.